haven't done this for quite some time. So, actually on the Zony, waiting for people to come in, and I've got the live chat set up. I haven't got lights on properly though. Maybe I should go put some lights on. Okay? Should I put some lights on? There you go, with some lights. We got lights. Have we got lights? We have lights. Do we have people watching? That's the question. So turn that way a touch, and here we go in the studio. So waiting for people to log on. Probably logged onto the last one, which failed miserably because the sound went. So, anybody? Well, hey, we have somebody entered the room. That's good. Right, hopefully this works a little bit better than the last one, and we've got a bit of light and we've got a bit of sound, and I've actually got the microphone with me tonight. So, and I've actually got a visitor, which is my dog, Chewbacca, who's very naughty. What are you doing, dog? And Thomas says hi. Hello, Thomas, in the other room. I can see you watching. So, back to it. So, Mr. Appleton has left the club. And, of course, he had the worst post-war record of any Shrewsbury Town manager when it comes to win ratios. And Jonesy Lad says, I know we wouldn't get him, but I would get Matt Sadler. Yeah, well, Matt Sadler would probably put double the effort in because he loves the club, but he also loves Walsall, unfortunately, too. And he's trying his best to do what he can there. And to be honest, their budget is very similar to ours. It isn't any better at all, really. So when you're looking at two clubs that are exactly the same sort of size, it is Shrewsbury and Walsall at this level at the moment, although Walsall are doing better, hence getting better crowds. But when it comes to incoming, I'm pretty sure that they have very similar budgets. So Jonesy Lad 04 says Gavin Cowan, which would be a good call. Did great at Brackley last year, didn't he? Let me get a bit more comfortable. Yeah, did great at Brackley last year. Got them promoted to the National League. They're kind of holding their own a little bit at the moment. Pete Wild, would you prefer Cowan or Pete Wild? I don't know really. I think I'd probably go for Cowan, mainly because of he actually played for us and did well when he did, and there's a bit of I don't know what to say really. Let's have a little look. It should have gone several games ago, but I worry it's too late to save our season now. Well, it's never too late to save the season. Anybody who remembers the year 2000, we were well adrift and somehow we survived, and we got that win on the last game of the season at Exeter, where there was jubilation, Jeff, running on the pitch, and all kinds of crazy things happened. I think Torquay was completely full of Salopians out celebrating, and it was a great weekend held by all, I believe. Mickey Brown, saviour of the town. What else we got? We got in 05 to 07. Yes, he did. So what else we got? Yep, Tom says crazy day, but he's out of hospital, he's home, and he should be, fingers crossed, at the game on Saturday. So that Thomas returns on Saturday. So who else we got? Matt 210B says, I'm not sure how Cowan shapes up tactically, but he strikes me as a good motivator who knows the club. Hopefully, he can unite the fan base over this short period. Well, I keep yammering on about the fan base and the whole community of Shrewsbury and Shropshire in general. You know, us, the fans, if we want the club to grow, we need to get out into the community, spread the word, make some solidarity. I don't think it's going to happen under Roland as chairman, but when the next chairman comes in, whoever he is, or the next sort of season that we do well, and look into to a promotion or some sort of success, we've got to strike. We've got to strike and get out into the community because we have to compete if we are to move up the leagues. And the reason so, you only have to look at Mansfield, Chesterfield, Lincoln, uh, Tranmere, Oldham, Cambridge. They've all grown in stature as clubs since our fantastic season in 2018. But we've seen those clubs rise. Stockport County is another one, all clubs that were getting gates around ours or less, they are all getting more. And they've gone out into their community. They've had something to shout about, something to celebrate, but they've held on to it and they've grown their clubs. And that's what we need to do. But no point doing it now because everybody will be moaning, going, oh, they'll be, oh, Roland, or oh, they're rubbish, oh, they'll get relegated. And I understand where they're coming from by doing that because we're all doing it ourselves and it's all a bit negative at the moment. But the next time we get some positivity with this club, we've got to go out and we've got to capitalise on it, just like those other clubs I've mentioned have. And then we can grow, and then we'll be in a better position to stay in League One if we ever get in League One again, compete in League One comfortably, not relegation battles. How many? We were there 10 seasons, and I'd say 8 of those 10 seasons were, squeaky bum towards the relegation places, weren't they? Only the 2 seasons were the one when we finished sort of 12th under Cottrell, which was a boring season, and of course the great season under Paul Hurst where we came so close. Right, that's my say on that again. I'll always keep saying that because that's what I believe will work. So, any other questions? Come on, get those questions firing in. There's 10 of you online at the moment. Who would you like to see as the new manager? There's a few out there. There's Darren Ferguson. There's Duncan Ferguson. Obviously, Gareth Cowan. Obviously, others also mentioned Sadler and Pete Wild. But there's plenty of people out there who could save us. It was on the cards, but he and ROD should have lost their jobs after the Bristol Rovers game. I totally agree. That was the time that they should have been pushed out from the club. They should have been given their marching orders right there and then. But the thing is, did they get their marching orders? Or did they walk? That's one thing we don't know. Were they sacked? Or did he just say, I've had enough of this, I can't win the games, I'm walking? Is there any confirmation of what actually happened? Has he been sacked or did he walk? Or there was a mutual agreement, obviously. But what did actually happen? Well, we'll probably never know. The truth is, we need someone in quite quickly. Maybe someone in over the next 2 days that can probably bring in maybe one or two players that are quite loyal to them that will give them 100% whoever the new manager is. So it's got to be done now, tomorrow, Friday, and obviously someone who can say, right, yeah, I know him. He'll come in, he'll do a job for me. He's loyal to me. Someone in the central midfield position or where it's now needed. I don't think we should really overload strikers and defenders right now because we've got those in. Unfortunately, the guy who got those in is gone. So maybe the guy who does come in can work wonders and work well with these kids that have come in on loan, etc. Let's hope so. All right, glad he's gone, but we have allowed Appleton to bring his players in this month. Really bizarre. Yeah, well, that comes from the top, doesn't it? That comes from the chair. That's the chairman and the CEO's fault. You gotta question them what they are thinking, and I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, what would I have done? Okay, let's just all put ourselves in the position we own the club, right? And we're in charge of Appleton. What would you do? Obviously, there's rumours of still not being paid off Paul Hurst. Obviously, Gareth Ainsworth walked, so obviously I don't think would have had to give him anything at all because he walked. As for Matt Taylor and Paul Hurst, obviously we would have paid them amounts of money, I imagine, to leave, sacking, whatever. Cottrell obviously ran out of contract, so they never renewed it. So I don't think Cottrell actually got sacked. He just didn't renew the contract. So obviously there was no money given out on that one. So, but yeah, Hurst and Taylor probably cost us a few bob. As we said last night, 7 games too late. Yep, totally agree. 7 games too late. I mean, how many of those 7 games have we won? 1. We got 3 points from 21, is that? Well, no, I suppose we've got the cup tie at Wolves, but hang on, my dogs are playing up a little bit down there a minute. I don't know what he's doing. Got to keep an eye on him. He's getting old now. Yeah, 7 games too late. Look how many points we've dropped. That possibly. I think my dog's choking on something. These things happen, don't they? Hang on. What's the matter, boy? What's going on? What you doing, actually? Yes. Haha, naughty Bonio's the culprit. Yeah, man, he always does that. Tries to crunch him up too quick and then ends up choking. So anyway, back to it. Where were we? I heard from a good source that the stumbling block for selling the club is NBA wants to keep hold of the land for a stadium, etc. Well, I suppose he feels that he built the stadium, which he kind of did. He organised it all and he went through all the stuff. And it's got its name on the stand, doesn't he? So he probably thinks if somebody comes in, buys the lot, builds another new stadium, and that stadium disappears, his legacy as chairman kind of falls out of favour a bit. It kind of disappears. There's nothing structural left to represent him, is there? It's only written down in history books if that stadium gets built on for houses, which would make a lot of money. So maybe If he's worried about that, why don't he just pay for a statue of himself to get built, and then we could probably move it on to another new stadium if we ever move to another new stadium, and that's what they want to do, build houses on it, and there's a lot of money to be made on that land, isn't there? So that's his alternative, but he might not live to see that. He's getting old, you know. He's well into his 80s, as far as I know. I ain't going to say any more. There's no point saying any more. My feelings on it is that it's probably the wrong age to be running a football club this day and age at this time when football is like it is right now. That's my opinion on it. The methods are probably a little old and outdated, but we can talk about that and go over that so many times. There's just no point. So if I won the Euro lottery, I would move the stadium and build a new one for the fans. Well, that's exactly what I would do because I think our stadium was outdated before it even got built because of the plans. I'm going over it again. But it's based on Stoke City's 1990s design and Derby's and all those, when really we should have been having one built similar to Chesterfield's, which doesn't need cleaning because it's built in that way, or Rotherham's. Well, Chesterfield haven't got the steelwork showing, so they doesn't look ugly, does it? And they're virtually both the same size, those grounds are, and they're completely probably a little bit more advanced than ours. If you look at them, the actual build quality. Well, not the build quality, but the actual styles and the way things they're more updated, aren't they? And if you look to any new stadiums being built now, I mean, they're light years ahead. We could probably have something. Well, if I won the Euro lottery and I bought that club, do you know what I'd do? I know there's already a supermarket up there, but I'd buy Asda and I'd buy that builder's merchant MKM and I'd stick them on the land and say, you can have first dibs on that. I'd pay over the odds for that land, I would. On Old Potts Way. Absolute brilliant location that would have been. And I've had a look on Google Maps and I've cut the stadium size out and it slots in just right. It's a perfect size for our ground to fit in, and our ground holds 10,000, but there's a massive gap between the stands and the pitch. So our ground's spaced way out. We could make it a bit tighter and make it a bit more bigger in capacity. We could probably have a 15,000 seater tight to the pitch, atmospheric like they've done at Everton. Built the stands close to the pitch so the noise level goes up. Built for atmosphere, built for the fans. That's what I'd do with all those millions. Asda wouldn't be there no more, and neither would MKM Builders. There'd be a football stadium there, close to the town centre, walkable from the train station, accessible for all. How's that sound? Would that not be, 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes walk at most from where the old meadow was? Be absolutely fantastic spot, that. And maybe that's what he should have done. He had links with greenhouses, move them up to, totally agree. Yeah, it would have been a brilliant spot, I think, Andy. I think that would have galvanised everything, and the whole community would be behind the club. A brand new stadium, right in the not far. Well, 5-10 minutes walk from the town centre. Could still be singing "Walking Down the Wildcot," couldn't we? Brentford style stadium, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you could easily build a 15, 17, 18,000. You'd probably squeeze about that amount in. Yeah, absolutely. Just right for this town. Maybe possibly. If you built over the Reebok a little bit, perhaps, and pushed it out, you might get it up to 25,000. I don't know. Yeah, Yes, but we need a good team before a stadium to play in it. Yeah, and we can't sell out this one. But the reasons why we can't sell out this one, it's out the way. It's hard to get to. The transport plans are ridiculous. The traffic is ridiculous. Bus services are useless. There's nowhere to park. Everybody has to walk. It's completely in a terrible place. It was okay at first. There's, there was the possibility of a train station. Well, there should be a train station this end of town anyway, isn't it? As I always say, let's think about it. Train stations, Shrewsbury. If you want to go somewhere on the train from Shrewsbury, or say if you want to commute to Manchester or Birmingham from Shrewsbury, instead of driving, you have to drive in the morning into town. How long does that take? Look at the build up of traffic. If everybody, right, how many people have to travel into the town centre every day in the morning to catch a train? Somehow, taxis, cars, parking. There should be at least two parkway stations in Shrewsbury. That would take cars off the road going into town to use the train stations. It would allow people to commute into town from out of town into Shrewsbury, or easier to commute out of Shrewsbury. It would allow the football club to grow. It would allow the business park to grow. It would serve a community the size of Church Stretton that's been built down there anyway, population wise. There's another 200 houses going down there now, Persimmon's Homes, in just one field. That's another 600 people. You keep adding this amount of people. Look at the Bellways. There's another 100 odd on the Bellway. There's another probably 400 or 500 if you count all the ones all the way along. Probably more than that. And then the ones opposite on the golf course. Like, what if the golf course all of a sudden? There's talk of that. The golf course being sold for housing. So how would it's more people, it's more cars that will have to go into town. Or if you want to work, if you live at Meal and you work up one of the factories or industrial bits up at Alscott, or you work at Tesco up at Alscott, instead of getting in your car, you can jump on the train, Meal Parkway, straight up to Alscott, and vice versa. On that line, that Manchester line, you've got trains every 30 minutes, haven't you, during the day? But the local line ones to Crewe, you might not be allowed to let the direct ones from Cardiff to Manchester stop all the time at those stations. You might be able to get a few of those a day to stop, wouldn't you? But certainly the local line to Crewe would always stop at those stations, and maybe extend it so it goes to Meal. And maybe the local line one that comes up from Swansea, the Art of Wales line, maybe have that stop up at Alscott instead of in the town. There's lots of ways you could do with that, lots of things you could do with that. And that's just one thing you could make work, I think. Right, less of the train stations. That's another thing I go on about a lot. Train stations, but it's about improving where we live. It's about improving the football club. Maybe politics is something we should look into. Local councils, wasting money on stuff underneath train stations, like cycle routes. Maybe. Anyway, let's go on back on. I'm going on tangents anyway now, so let's go back on to the job. So, who's the favourite? So we look it up. I'm gonna have to look it up on my phone because you're wired to my laptop at the moment. So I can see everything that pops up when you ask questions, which is better than my finger going in the front of the camera on the phone and blocking it all out all the time and having to keep touching the screen. So favourites for the Shrewsbury Town job. Let's have a little look. So we've done this quite a lot the last few years, haven't we? Favourites for Shrewsbury Town job. Right, let's have a little look. So the next manager, odds. So here comes the betting. So I don't know what's going on next door with those kids of mine playing up. So we go. So Michael Appleton's gone. So the manager odds. Oh, these are from before. So we had Graham Coughlin and Darren Ferguson. So Graham Coughlin is 6-4. Darren Ferguson is 4-1. Darren Moore is 6-1. Dino Mamoria or Mamra, or what was the name? Anybody remember Thundercats from the 80s? Wasn't the bad guy in that called Momra or something? Anyway, Dino Mamra or Momra. I think he used to play for Stevenage, didn't he? He's 12-1. Marty Cifuentes, the Leicester City boss, is 12-1. Lee Grant from Huddersfield, 12-1. They've even got Paul Hurst at 12-1, but he's at Boston. Leighton Baines, that's an interesting one. Done really well with the Everton youth team, 14-1. Gary Rowe at 14-1. Dean Holden 16-1. Alan Sheehan 16-1. Chris Coleman 20-1. Robbie Savage 25-1. Mark Kennedy 25-1. Noel Hunt 25-1. Tony Mowbray. Be an interesting one, wouldn't it? 25-1, along with Steve Bruce, Paddy McCarthy, David Dunn, all 25-1. I think these are up to date. So yeah, those are listed. I'm not sure what this site. This is on bettingodds.com. So yeah, Michael Appleton was here 10 months and 2 days. It's the same names every time the job comes up. The two favourites aren't even on the list. Yeah. What, Darren Ferguson and Graham Coughlin? Out of them, what about Big Dunk? You know, I always imagine him as a manager bullying some players or something, saying, you will do it, and then them going out and doing it. But so out of those on the list, who do I like? Darren Ferguson. Wouldn't say no to that. Leighton Baines, I think, would be an interesting one. Rowett, maybe. Coleman. Yeah, maybe Coleman. Everyone else, I wouldn't really be interested in most of the others. What are you guys thinking? Am I planning on buying a season ticket next season if we get relegated? Well, depends how much it's going to be. If they're going to raise the price again, probably not. You know, they raised the price last season for this season. I think there should be a clause that if we get relegated, it's this amount. If we stay up, it's this amount. Wouldn't that be fair? Don't you think? Rather than us having to pay over the odds, even though we get relegated. That's one thing I'd do if I was a chairman. I'd be fair like that with the fans, rather than saying you will pay this, whatever. As it stands, I won't be renewing next season. If it stays as it is, I've been going for 12 years. Fair enough. I've been season ticket holder since 2006, the season before we went up. Went to the new stadium. Well, this um, stadium that we're currently at. It's no longer new, is it? Can I call it new? It's 20 years old. That stadium is 20 years old. That's outrageous to think that. And I worked it out that I've now been to more games at this stadium, more seasons, than the other stadium, which is, again, crazy to think. But that's the way it is. Another new stadium, I think, is the way to go. Yeah, sell the club, make the money on the houses going on, allow that to fund everything. Keep the community stadium then for the ladies. Why not? That could be part of the community, couldn't it, really? Still be a bit of representation down there, but you may as well just. It's it's ridiculous now. The way that the match day is. What does everybody think about all these security procedures? We have like three. At one point, I got asked 3 times to be searched. First couple of times I went there, coming in for the main gate, going through into the fan park, and then there was one asking before we went in. Uh, Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, those securities. But we went to Cambridge the other night, and there was a little, just a bit of a tap down. That was it. Well, home fans being treated as if we're like visiting prisoners on day release. It's insane. I really don't like the way we're wasting money on all these security as well. I mean, they've got one on the gate between a little, but not as you walk in for the main car. They've got one. And he always asks me, "Can I see your ticket, please?" Okay, I've got a season ticket, but I did the first time I walked through there, and the second time I thought, I'm not showing him that. So I just said, "Oh, I'm going to go into the ticket office, mate." I mean, if that's all you've got to say, what's the point in having that guy on that little gate saying, "Can I see your ticket?" So, Jensen, who is it? I promise, I know who it is. Right, so let's right here we go. We got so I missed out a few. So Pete Gurn says Kevin Wilkin. Andy Street said Graham is an ex-town player. Jonesy Lad said getting Steve Bruce. Matt 2010 BC. Are you planning on buying a seat? Well, I've just gone through that. I probably will. Ballistic Burns. Never nice to see a bloke lose his job. However, it isn't a charity. Decent bloke. I wish him well, but it's the correct decision. Absolutely the correct decision. I can't think of why we've even considered keeping someone with the worst record, worst post-war record of a Shrewsbury Town manager. I mean, obviously, I think Matt Jackson was a stopgap manager after Graham Turner left, and it didn't work out too well then for him. I think he had a slightly worse record, but played less games. So we're up to Jensen. who's under his mum's account, says, "Guys, I know who it is, but I really can't say." Oh, okay. Graham Coughlin is a banker. What does he work at for Barclays or is it HSBC? Just joking. No, I don't know. Graham Coughlin, yeah, it wouldn't. I just don't think he's the right guy, is he really? We want someone who's actually got someone who's been there, done it, and knows how to do it. For me, it'd be Darren Ferguson, but can we afford him? Or how much? I'm pretty sure Peterborough weren't paying a great deal, or Doncaster for that matter. So it might be affordable. I don't know. It's one of my family members who's assistant manager. Ah, yeah, I know who that is. But why would they employ the assistant manager of Brackley Town that used to coach at Crossbar? Because my kids used to go to Crossbar, so I know who it is. Well, he's not going to be manager, is he? He's going to come in with Gav Cowan. I won't say any more, Jensen. I won't say any more. That's if Gav Cowan comes in. Pete Gurton, security is way over the top. How much is this costing the club? Well, if you think they're all on national minimum wage, they're going to be on more than minimum wage, aren't they? Because they're security, so they are a profession. They're not going to be totally on a great deal an hour, but more than minimum wage an hour, aren't they? And they're probably there for what, 3 to 4 hours per game. When I was a steward, I was there sort of at 1 o'clock and finished after the game finished. So yeah, you're looking at 3.5 to 4 hours at how much an hour, and then how many of them getting that over that wage for that day. Could be a couple of thousand, could be 1,000 or so, couldn't it? How many of them is there? There's at least 10. So, and then obviously there's going to be supervisors, and then you've got the police. There's always police there, even when you play Harrogate, and there's only 50 Harrogate fans. The police are there just in case, even though nothing's going to happen. Yeah. Spill the beans. Security staff will be EDF requirements. I don't think we have much choice. Oh, they are requirements. Yes, I'm not saying get rid of them all, but I've been to every single away game, and you just have a couple or three patting you down in the away end only. You don't see home fans getting searched going into games. Only at our club. That's all I've seen it this season. Walsall, prime example. They just had two. Quick pat down. None of this nonsense. Can I see your tickets? None of this nonsense. Metal detectors. None of this nonsense. Empty all your stuff onto the table, which has been, it was the first couple of weeks, wasn't it? But it's like Checkpoint Charlie when you go down the meadow. It's ridiculous. It's a waste of money. Yes, have some security, secure to search away fans, but no, I find it really, really silly the amount of money that's being wasted on that amount of security right now. And I know that the security issue is that by 2027 all clubs have to be doing it, but they shouldn't be doing it right now. Why are we wasting money? As a club, we waste money on stupid things, and that's a fact. Is it the CEO? Is it the new chief security guy being over the top, thinking, well, maybe the idea is not to build houses on that when the ground gets old. Maybe it's going to be an airport with all that security. No. Well, it may as well be an airport, the amount of security that's on there on a match day, and it's ridiculously over the top. You don't need that much. Or maybe Roland's worried that the fans are going to turn on him and do a Mansfield and get into the boardroom and crash into the stands, because that's what Mansfield did, didn't they? Their fans went a bit dupalali off their rockers, going back about 10, 15 years ago, 15 years ago maybe. Yeah, they didn't. It wasn't good. But I don't think Shrewsbury Town fans are that way inclined. But perhaps Roland doesn't feel safe, and that's why the extra security is, because of the backlash he's getting. I don't know. Right, less of the security. It is the Brackley manager, says Jensen. He's already signed the contract. Okay. If Gab Cowan is coming in, oh, that's naughty. That is Jensen telling everybody. Should have kept it quiet. Shh. He's already signed the contract. Decent appointment, yeah. I think if you're going to sign one from non-league, it's get one that's done the business, one that knows the club, and one that could be up and coming. Bring in Dave Edwards, Jamie Tolley, and Sam Aston. What, as coaches, I wouldn't say no to that. I wouldn't say no to that at all. They are bringing in Dave Edwards as one of the backroom staff. I can't say him anymore. I'm going to bed. Well, I think you've just told us everything. Oh no, he's in trouble now tomorrow, isn't he? When oh dear, that's one way to get all your information, isn't it? Now, if he's telling the truth, then fair play to the lad. And he probably might be. I've got a feeling he might be telling the truth, because I do know he has said before that his brother-in, is it his uncle or brother-in-law or something like that? I think now is the assistant manager, and he used to coach my kids over at Crossbar. Oof, probably about 10 years ago now. And they were in the Crossbar Academy, and of course Gab Cowan owns the Crossbar Academy, so there might be some truth in that. So Ballistic Burn says, me and my sister got pat down at Man United under 21s at Old Trafford. Blew my mind. Well, I think that is more than likely to happen at a Premier League ground anyway. I mean, it's been like it for years. I remember when the Olympics was there, we had to take all our stuffs out of our pockets. I went to watch Great Britain against, was it Senegal and Uruguay and another team? Uruguay and United Arab Emirates, Great Britain and I think it was Senegal. I watched two games anyway, and they were back to back, and that's the only time I've ever been to Old Trafford. I haven't been there for watch Man United or England or any other. I went to watch Great Britain at the Olympics, and basically before we went in there, you had to put all your stuff on a table and put it into a clear plastic bag, and then that got taped up, and then you could walk through with your ticket with your plastic bag. And then once you were inside, you were allowed to open up your plastic bag and put your things back in your pocket. So they had all these ripped open plastic bags, but everything had to go in a plastic bag before you got through to the other side. But that is the Olympics, and I understand it full well that, massive events, worldwide events that this day and age that should happen. But is my microphone not working? I'm not sure if it is now. I think it's gone off. Yeah, I think my mic's gone off. Yeah, I think my mic went off. It's run out of battery. Didn't even notice. It's probably talking absolute nonsense then, and you probably couldn't hear me. Could you hear me then? Oh, you can hear me now. Yeah, ran out of battery. Sorry, I didn't even notice that it ran out of battery. so I've had to go on the normal camera. It's probably not as good, but yeah. So yeah, basically, I was on about when I went to watch Great Britain and versus I think it was United Arab Emirates and it was Uruguay against Senegal, I think, or it was some I can't remember who it was. But the Olympics at Old Trafford, yeah, they made us put all our stuff into a plastic bag before instead of getting searched, and then you had a bit of a pat down, and then you had to walk through with this plastic bag, scan your ticket, and then once you scan your ticket and you were in, you could open up the plastic bag again because it was sealed shut and take all your things out and put them back in your pockets. But you weren't allowed to. You had to put everything. There's all these plastic bags everywhere. It's absolutely mental. But yeah, I remember doing that for the Olympics, and that was probably the nearest sort of thing I've seen to like high security at events. Obviously, you get your pat downs when you go to Wembley and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's very similar. Going to the Meadows, very similar to what they do at Wembley now. So it's high security, and I just don't think that when you play in Grimsby Town on a Tuesday night, when bring like 150, 200 fans, and there's only 4,000 at most home fans coming through. Probably not even that because half the season tickets don't even turn up, and you're employing that many security for that game. I think it's a waste of money, and you never know. Something might go terribly wrong one day, and then we'd regret the situation. We'd be wanting the situation, the more security, wouldn't we? So you can't win, right? So you reckon we're going to sign one more player before the window ends, or leave it as is? Well, if somebody comes in early tomorrow, maybe Friday, and they've got someone with a bit of experience where they are, and they know they're available, and they bring them in, I'm all up for that. Especially if someone who if the manager is, for instance, Gav Cowan, and he's got someone who's played out of his skin for Brackley this season, and he thinks they can make the jump up, and he trusts them to bring them into the team, then I'm for that. So, right, any more questions? I can see our new manager diving into the free agent market as there are a few decent players. Well, yeah, there has been, and I think as long as it's not another Chucks, you don't want another Chucks. The ridiculous amount that he apparently was on, I don't know whether it's true, but apparently he was on close to 2.5 grand a week, I was told. Now, this might be totally out of proportion and might be untrue, but when you've got someone like Chucks and he comes on for the last 10 minutes and he can not run around so well. And the worst thing about it was we came back from Grimsby after the league game back in December, and obviously I was on the away travel coach when we're dropping off people who had parked at the Meadow, and they and basically the team coach pulled up and Chucks was getting off the bus, and somebody said, "Look, Chucks has got a." I don't know whether it was a walking stick or not. Maybe I was hallucinating, but people were laughing, saying, "Look at Chucks trying to walk to his car." And somebody said he's got a walking stick, and it was like, what? But it was very late at night, and it was like, and that sort of hit home. Hang on, why have we got somebody who can't run, and it looks like he needs assisting to get to his car after getting off a coach? Whether that's true or not, or whether I remember it rightly, it was late at night. Ruben Amorim as manager. I don't know. Casemiro, free agent in the summer. Moonface. That's what I call Casemiro. I don't know why. I suppose it's because he's got that big round face and Looks like he's gonna. Maybe I've been reading too much of the magic round, no, the magic faraway tree. On here comes the star of the show. We have a guest. Don't suppose he wants to be on TV. No. So apparently we're bringing back Jack Price. Got told by new assistants. Child. Well, I, is Jack starting for them every week? I haven't really paid much attention. Let's have a little look. Here we go again. I'm looking again, and I'll check all this out. Has Jack been featuring and what ratings he's getting? Let's do the old flash scores thing. They tend to give ratings out of 10, don't they? If anybody's got the flash scores app, so you can. So let's have a little look. So we've got National Brackley. That's what we want. Yeah, I think it's going to be time. I'm switching off at 11, by the way, so we've got about 5-10 minutes. 8 minutes, actually. So, yeah, they got. So, as for Brackley, let's have a look. And their lineups. Well, they don't give any ratings for their players, but. So, is Jack Price playing full? He's not playing full 90s. Well, he has been. Oh, hang on. Don't you just hate it when you click on an advert for AliExpress when you're looking through stuff? Right, so recently Jack hasn't been playing 90 minutes, which is kind of worrying if he is to come in. Oh, he did against Bournemouth on the 27th. Maybe he's coming back from injury, I don't know. To full 90. 11 minutes at Hartlepool. And a 0-0 draw. A 3-3 draw away at Truro. 4 minutes against Yeovil, 7 minutes against Boston, 2 minutes against Forest Green, played 57 minutes against Morecambe, 76 against Burton. He started off the season playing a few 90-minute games, but he's not lasting, which probably suggests to me he's 33 years old, so decent market value still though, but no one's going to pay $357 are they for him? 357,000 euros. But yeah, he only played 4 games for Shrewsbury, which is quite sad, really. I think, and he got that one goal, didn't he? Got the winning goal against. Can't think who it was. He got the winning goal against now in that 2-1 win. Right, James lad, I wants to have. So we got 15 in the room. 5 minutes and I'm switching off. So any more questions, fire them away now. If not, I'm going to log off quite soon. Who's going to Barnet anyway? Saturday? Anybody going to the Barnet game Saturday? Yes, no? What was Cambridge like? I haven't watched the bid yet. The bid's up and running. It went up at 6 tonight. Right. My verdict on the Cambridge game was defensively, we put bodies on the line and blocked shots, and the concentration levels were far better in defence than they were at MK. If they'd have defended like that again at MK, they would have had a better result. So there you go. But the problem is, MK, I thought we attacked quite well. So MK, we attacked quite well, and I thought it was the concentration. It was the concentration and the lack of pace at the back, which caused us to get hammered at MK. No doubt about it. Maybe even playing Kukas left back, it seemed out of place. It wasn't right. Last night, Kukas was playing in midfield. The issue we had last night, which makes it probably the result looks a million times better than MK. Last night's result looks a million, but in an attacking sense and playing wise, it wasn't very good at all. We had 2 shots at goal. Possibly could have, should have scored one maybe, but other than that, listen, Cambridge could have won by probably 2 or 3. Some good saves from Cox. Matt Cox had a decent debut in goal. They battled it out. They deserved something from the game because they grinded it out. But it wasn't a great performance. It wasn't. Not in a footballing sense, as in creating chances, entertaining, going forward. It was just like backs against the wall stuff and just trying to break now and then. Um, yeah, Matt Cox made 3 pretty good saves, especially the one-on-one quite early on in the first 10 minutes. I mean, that was probably the save of the night. He came out and rushed out and he made the block on the edge of his penalty area. And if that had gone in, I would have feared that it might have been another 4 or 5, 1-0 reverse. But with that in mind, if you go back to MK, if they hadn't have scored earlier on, would we have attacked to try and get back into the game? Probably not. So we'd have probably stepped at that minute. It would probably been a similar game as last night. So even though they were both 2 different games, MK scored early, which made us have to attack to get back into the game early. Cambridge scored late, which meant that it was kind of a tight squeeze, condensed type of game where it got a bit scrappy. But even then, Cambridge had 3 decent opportunities to score before they had the penalty. As for the penalty itself, I think looking back that he went to block it. Obviously his hand was up. Was it a penalty? It's a natural thing to do when you fall. I just believe that the ref, she made the wrong decision, I think, personally. Certainly at that time in the game. But that's the way it goes, isn't it? She gave the penalty. It's a penalty. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no VAR, and there's no replays, and that's it. We lost 1-0, so it's no better than losing 5-1, really. But when we let less goals in, still lost the game, still got no points, and that's why he probably had to go. He had to go because he had no answers last night. It was the same outcome. Still lost the game. Players in correct positions is a good start. Just lack of quality in the middle and up for definitely. And up front, definitely not a penalty. I can't really. The angle I saw the penalty, I have not watched it in real time, but from some people say it's harsh, some people say it is. From the angle I could see, and don't forget, I'm trying to quickly whack it on just to try and catch that moment which I missed because I was actually filming myself about to say, well, it looks like it's going to be a point for the town. And before I could even say that, it was like, oops, wait a minute. And I flipped, and it was onto a penalty. It was like MK, to be fair. Well, that's two penalty decisions that have gone against us. And when you're down there at the bottom, it does go against you. And don't forget, there might be other influences at work as well. When you're running at pace and your sidearms, yeah, you've got to run, haven't you? You've got to run. You can't run like a penguin because you've got no balance. Well, that might be the rules in the future. You might get players not running like this, like sprinters, running like penguins, like that, so they don't give away free kicks, handballs. Wait for it. It'll happen one day. They'll probably have belts keeping their arms at the side. Just imagine that. Nothing surprises me in this world anymore. Sometimes I do come out with stuff, but no, you can laugh at it all you like. I mean, this is way football is right now, isn't it? So things are changing all the time. The laws are kind of pathetic. Some of the laws, especially the offside, I don't get some of the offside laws. I think the game's been ruined. The only decent thing I think technology wise where the game's improved is having the goal line technology if the ball's crossed the line or not. VAR should only be used when you think it's a serious offence. Like someone has been punched in the mouth or something like that, or someone has stamped on somebody. Then VAR should get involved. For offsides, I don't know. I don't know where it goes. VAR for everyone. It costs teams. Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, it either works in your, but don't forget VAR did not work in our favour. But it was one of the first times it was ever used in this country, wasn't it? The Sean Wally goal away at Liverpool. That one, it that one kind of hurts because they had to go back three phases of play to find the offside. Three phases of play to find the offside. But the game was done and dusted, wasn't it? When they went through it all and looked at it all. So, but that's another story. Right, it's well gone 11 o'clock. It's past me bedtime. I bid you all probably good night, and hopefully we will find out if young Jensen was right with his what he's saying that it's Gav Cowan. I don't know. We'll find out, and hopefully we have some news rather quickly rather than being waiting around trying to find out and wondering what on earth's going on, and things get done very quickly. Big Sam. Well, if anybody can, it's Big Sam, isn't it? I wonder, would he? I haven't seen him for a while. I'm not sure how well he is, to be honest. Wasn't he quite poorly at some point not long ago? But Big Sam would be the man, yeah. I'd certainly go for Mr. Allardyce if he could. He's the one that would motivate them and keep them up. And Neil Warner could probably do the same as well. Uh, there's no characters like that in the game now, is there anymore? Nobody who's like that who really gives it, tells you how it is. I mean, it's so old school. Maybe that's where maybe Appleton was a bit like it, and maybe it just doesn't work on today's players. That type of management. I don't know. Anyway, I'm starting to feel a bit sleepy. Roy Keane. Roy Keane would want a lot of money, I think, wouldn't he? don't think with a 4-year-old keen. Anyway, I bid you all good night. I think it's time to switch off, and I'm getting quite used to doing these lives now. It's certainly passes the time away, doesn't it? So, and now I've got it set up so it runs through my computer. I can see everything without having to touch. When I'm live on the bus, I've only got my phone, so unless I have another phone open watching it, I can't really see who's writing stuff. But now I can. I can without having to touch the screen and flip it, and then you accidentally knock it off, and then you got to restart the stream again. And that's what I had to do earlier because I was using my phone first. So I thought, right, I'm going to set it up on my laptop and see how it works, and it's worked quite well. Get Pete Wild in. Maybe. Right. Joseph nods his head and says no. It's 7 minutes past 11. I'm going to bed. We cannot risk Gavin Callan. Oh, here we go. I've got someone now wanting to talk now. I'm just about to go to bed. Oh. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. I don't know. I mean, they're going to be looking at the finances. Oh, can we afford to bring? How much are we going to pay Gav Cowan? I wonder if he'll be manager for £200 a week. Maybe. No. Seriously. Whoever it is, it's out of our hands. We can't do anything about it. We're just going to have to accept it. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. Protest against the chairman by all means, but whoever he brings in to be manager, we got to accept that. And that's just the way it is at the moment. Anyway, I'm definitely off the bed. Time to sleep. Night, night, all. And catch you all again soon.